Hey guys, welcome back to another great game of CEDH. Today we have another guest, Veil of Death mtga. And if you didn't know, he's another great CEDH gameplay channel. And we played quite a few games, so you'll be seeing more of them in the upcoming future. Also, have you heard the news? Your favorite CEDH YouTube channel has released some cool merch. And if you're interested in picking up some sweet new apparel, come check us out. Also, if you like what you see, consider joining our Patreon, as with your help, we can keep producing the videos you enjoy. And if you want to play with us, hop on our Discord. We have an ever-growing community that loves to talk MTG or whatever else strikes our fancy. And we would love to meet new people. Alright, block there, kill that. Oh, that is trample. Guess I'm just dead on board. Starting us off is Hidden Planet X on Borborygmos and Fblthp. This is a teamer food chain list. Food chain allows you to loop your commander to draw your deck. Then you can assemble the classic Underworld Breach Brain Freeze win. And even without food chain, you also have dockside loops as a backup plan. Next up is Claudio, playing Kinnan. This is a mid-range deck that aims to utilize Kinnan to generate a lot of mana and then funnel it into large mana payoffs. The list seeks to establish an infinite mana combo like Isochron or Basalt Monolith, and use Kinnan or Thrasios to draw most of the deck and win with thrasios. In the third spot is Death, piloting Atraxa, Grand Unifier. This is a combo control list, playing the best cards available, while countering and removing anything in our way, till the Grand Phyrexian Angel can make an appearance, helping you refill on cards and keeping you going in the late game. It utilizes food chain as a way to speed up the process and ultimately relies on thrasios to end the game, unless you're just beating down with a 7/7 Angel. This deck is basically a value engine if I've ever seen one. And bringing up the rear, we have Teddy, who's brought Zimone and Dina. This is a Sultai Hulk list, and it's a Turbo Adnaz list as well. It aims to do exactly what it says, get and sacrifice a Protean Hulk to grab Manicore, Malira, and a sack outlet. It also has thrasios as a tried and true backup plan. And without further ado, let's get on to the gameplay. Hidden starts off the game with a Tropical Island and a turn 1 Mystic Remora. Claudio has a Flooded Strand and doesn't want to feed the fish. Death cracks a Verdant Catacombs for a scrub land and casts an Esper Sentinel. Teddy plays a Polluted Delta and fetches out an Underground Sea, ending his turn with a Blood Pet. Hidden hasn't drawn anything off of his fish and keeps it alive. He plays a Bloodstained Mire and cracks it for a Volcanic. Claudio on his turn cracks his fetch for a Tropical Island and then plays an Ancient Tomb. He takes 2 off of it to cast a Rhystic Study, giving both Hidden and Death a card. Death also has a Tropical Island and casts a Noble Hierarch. He has a card to Claudio, with Death feeling bad he left Hidden out, as he follows this up with a Lotus Petal, giving Claudio and Hidden another card. Teddy cracks a Misty for a Tropical Island and casts a Collector Oof. He feeds a card to Claudio, but is done after that. Hidden still is pretty content to just keep his fish around, and plays an Exotic Orchard, discarding an Endurance to hand size. Claudio plays a Snow-Covered Island, and for 2 casts a Gilded Drake. Surprisingly, he steals the Oof, although the Oof affects everyone, not just opponents. Claudio has a Floating Colorless and casts a Brainstorm. He does pay for the Esper, but feeds a card to Hidden. Claudio then finishes brainstorming and ships the turn. Death has an Exotic Orchard as land and passes. Teddy, now on a useless Drake, decides to sacrifice it to a Diabolic Intent. He doesn't pay for anything and the whole table draws. He does miss out on a free attack, but ends his turn searching out the card for hand. Hidden still wants his fish. He exiles a Simian Spirit Guide to help pay the cost, as he also needs to empty his hand as well, playing a City of Brass's land and ending his turn with a Chain of Vapor to bounce the Rhystic. He doesn't pay for either Rhystic or Esper and is done after that. Claudio bolts himself as he cracks a Windswept Heath for an untapped Breeding Pool. Surprisingly, he just doesn't recast the Rhystic, and instead he casts an Eldritch Evolution, sacrificing the Oof to grab a 4-drop. He doesn't pay for either the Sentinel or the Rhystic, and there's actually some debate before it resolves over what the table thought he'd be getting. And to tell you the truth, he wasn't sure what to grab either. He thought about a Manglehorn, but ultimately decides on a Kira Great Glass Spinner. And with too many cards in hand, he starts to unload. He doesn't pay for fish for any of these, and casts a Mox Opal into a Chrome Mox. He imprints a Lowan Cephalid Empress, and casts a Soul Ring. Still not done, he then casts a Kinnan. And unfortunately, this is where Death pulls on the brakes, as he mana drains the commander. Apparently, Death was originally hoping to get the Rhystic, but settles on Kinnan instead, hoping to power out an Atraxa on his turn. Also, Death does give a card to Hidden from the fish. Death untaps and gains 2 mana from his drain. He shocks in a Watery Grave, and 7 mana then gets him Atraxa. Although spoilers for March of the Machines, Atraxa loses. And while this isn't a falling building, a Force of Will does come out from Hidden. He exiles a Mystical Tutor and gives a card to Death off the Esper Sentinel, with Death at his end step discarding a Mox Diamond. Teddy plays a Forest and taps it for a Carpet of Flowers. He has a card to Hidden, but does pay for the Sentinel. Teddy then moves to his second main and triggers his Carpet for 3 blue to cast Hidden's favorite card, Rhystic Study. Hidden draws from it, but unfortunately spent his force on the Atraxa. Hidden finally lets his fish go.
You sure you don't want to pay for it again? It's doing a lot of good.
Hidden plays a Training Center as land and casts a Mana Crypt. He gives a card to both Death and Teddy, and follows this up with an Imperial Recruiter. The Recruiter resolves and finds Hidden a Dockside, which he casts. Teddy draws, and Hidden gains 7 treasures. Hidden wishes he could play Silence, and plows ahead by cracking 4 treasures for a Teamer Sabertooth. But responding to this, Death casts a Swords on the Dockside. He pays for the Rhystic, and Hidden then pays 2 life to Mental Misstep it. Teddy draws, and Claudio responds by paying 2 life of his own to Mental Misstep that. He lets both Teddy and Death draw, with Hidden letting the Mentals cancel each other out. Still, with the swords on the stack, Hidden packs it. Teddy draws, and then Swan Songs it. Death draws a card, and the pact is countered. Hidden sees the finish line and decides to cast a Flusterstorm on the swords. But Teddy has drawn too many cards and casts a Pact Negation. Although not on the Flusterstorm, but on the Sabertooth that kicked this whole counterstorm off. And Teddy did say he did have a way of paying for his pact as the stack resolves, with the cat being countered and the Dockside surviving. Darn.
That was fun.
I know. Claudio has a Misty Rainforest and recast Kinnan. Teddy draws, and Claudio follows us up with the aforementioned Rhystic Study. He pays for the opposing Rhystic, but does give a card to Death.
How much cards do you have in your hand?
Me?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 9.
No, I don't pay.
I have 10.
Yeah.
I'm still not happy about it.
Claudio then fetches out a snow-covered forest and casts the Seedborn Muse. That's scary.
No, it's a precon.
Teddy draws, but the Seedborn resolves. Death untaps, and so does Claudio. During his upkeep, Claudio activates Kinnan and reveals a Wandering Archaic. Alright, where's that? We might need that Damnation coming out.
The thing is that Kira makes everything much more harder.
Damnation doesn't target. Death on his first main plays at Gemstone Caverns and taps it for his Soul Ring. Claudio and Teddy both draw, but Death is done after that, discarding a Llanowar Elves and an Elves of Deep Shadow due to hand size. Teddy and Claudio both untap. There's a pack trigger on the stack, and responding to this, Teddy casts a Cabal Ritual. He can't pay for the Wandering Archaic, Rhystic Study, or Esper Sentinel, and Claudio gets a copy of the spell, and while he has Threshold, Teddy does not. And still in his upkeep, Claudio activates Kinnan. He looks at the top 5 and this time reveals a Thorn Mammoth, which enters and fights Death's Esper Sentinel. And this does prompt a response from Death, as he casts a Culling the Weak, sacrificing the Noble Hierarch. He doesn't pay for either Rhystic Study or Wandering Archaic, and Claudio gains even more black mana. Claudio then activates Kinnan again, and this time reveals a Jin Cataxis. Thorn Mammoth triggers again, and this time it fights the Dockside. Death then gets 4 black, and using his floating blue, casts a Chain of Vapor, targeting the Rhystic Study. This triggers Jin to counter the spell, but Death knew that was going to happen anyways. Claudio does get a copy, and he chooses to bounce the Rhystic Study from Teddy's side. Then, with the fight still on the stack, Death overloads a Cyclonic Rift. He even pays for the Archaic. Hitting Krax's treasure for blue, and Claudio then draws off the Rhystic. He doesn't have an answer and activates Kinnan once again, this time revealing a Nezahal. He gets a fight trigger and kills the Recruiter, with him then discarding 3 cards to Nezahal to exile him until end step. He's still not done though, as he casts a Nature's Claim, triggering Jin to double it and take out both Death's Soul Ring and Esper Sentinel.
Yeah, I'm a healthy boy.
And oh boy, that was a lot as the table begins picking up their permanents. And before Teddy moves phases, Hidden uses his mana on an Intuition. He targets Teddy and reveals a Lion's Eye Diamond, Brain Freeze, and a Veil of Summer. Teddy ends up giving him the Brain Freeze, and both Hidden and Claudio forget Teddy hasn't even drawn a card for his turn.
Whoa, whoa. I haven't even gone to my draw step yet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
This
he
is all
turned
during
that
my
Nezahal. He
Yeah.
hasn't even drawn the card yet.
Yeah, Nezahal is still exiled then.
It's right.
Teddy draws and cracks a Verdant Catacombs. He finds out a Bayou and casts a Lotus Petal. He recasts his Carpet of Flowers and then moves to his second main. He gains 3 blue off his carpet and recasts Rhystic, with the Elder Dino coming back at his end step. Hidden untaps and plays a Windswept Heath. He casts a Mana Crypt and Claudio draws, while Hidden cracks his fetch for Taiga to pay for Teddy's Rhystic. The Crypt is then tapped to help cast an Underworld Breach. Claudio draws while Hidden pays for the Rhystic. Hidden is not sure exactly how he wants to go about this. He knows he's probably going to give a bunch of cards out and decides the best answer is to first cast his Lion's Eye Diamond. Claudio draws and the Rhystic is paid, with Hidden following it up with a Veil of Summer. Claudio once again draws while Hidden continues to play it safe with the Rhystic. But luckily the Veil resolves and Hidden is feeling more confident. He cracks his diamond for triple blue and discards his hand. Hidden then casts a Brain Freeze. Storm count is 4, so he mills 15. He's still a bit paranoid and decides to deal with both draw engines, as he uses his floating blue to Chain of Vapor back the Rhystic Study. He then does the same trick on Nezahal, and luckily due to his Veil, his permanents have hexproof from blue. And with that, Hidden is free to continue to LED Brain Freeze himself, and then finally Brain Freeze his opponents out, winning him the game.
So
Yeah.
I guess I'm just dead on board.
Yeah.
Well, that was another game I had no clue who was going to win. Hidden had a good fish, but needed to spend all of his mana just keeping it alive. Unlike Claudio, whose Rhystic drew him quite a lot. And to be fair, everyone was drawing cards. Rhystic Studies, Esper Sentinels, Fishes, and even an Elder Dino. There were a lot of value, and it showed. Counterspells were flying, and I thought we were done for when the Seedborn came out. I can't believe that Cycrid resolved. And to be fair, that was really one of the few answers that was possible to let the board continue, without Claudio just winning. But this was definitely an interesting game. Also, as a reminder, I am a community ambassador for Monarch Media, and while I can't say anything just yet, they are back and ready to create some quality CDH tournaments and events. So if you're interested in finding out more, check the links down below. I'll catch you guys later, and remember, never give up, even if you're dead on board. Hey guys, thanks for making it to the end of the video. I just wanted to let you know that we have a TCG affiliate link, and if you ever see a card you want to try or are inspired to brew something new, use our link when purchasing and we'll receive a small portion of the sale. This is a great way to support the channel, and if you enjoyed the gameplay, please leave a like and subscribe, as it really helps us keep making videos. And remember, never give up, even if you're dead on board. I'll see you guys later.